Good afternoon, guys. It's 12 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon. That's our cue. There are always the bells. You know, guys, if you hear the bells, it's a business focus.
Yes.
Okay, good afternoon, Alex.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're all fine. It's nice to see you again. Today we have another business focus for the intermediate level. The topic is interviews, predicting success.
Okay, and before we start, we will just remind you of who we are, or for new people, we will introduce ourselves. So my name is Richard, and I'm from Wales originally, and I'm a teacher at MIS in Milan, specifically at the school in Milano Meravigli, and I am a corporate teacher. So most of the time I teach in companies inside and outside of Milan, and also occasionally I teach at the school. Alex, what about you?
Well, again, hello, everybody. My name is Alex. I am also a corporate teacher for MIS, and I also work for Milano Meravigli. So if you are from Milan, please let us know which school you go to, and that we have our Alessia back. Nice to
Hi,
see
Alessia.
you.
How are you?
If you're listening to us from other cities in Italy, please just drop a line and let us know where you're from. So it's good to see Alessia again. We hope this business focus will be as interesting as the previous one.
Okay, Alessia, what's the weather like in Naples today, Alessia? You can drop us a message. Yes, let us know what the weather's like there. It's absolutely beautiful today. I did go out.
Yes, we're lucky today.
I went out earlier to the courtyard, the famous courtyard, with the children, and very nice. Okay, so as Alex said, the focus we've chosen today is about interviews, and the focus is called predicting success. Okay, so if you're predicting something, Alex, what is a prediction, or what is the verb to predict mean?
Well, to predict means to guess if something is going to happen or not going to happen. So we're looking towards the future and we are speculating. We are thinking of what could possibly be.
Okay, and success, is that positive or negative?
It's definitely positive. Sorry, I was saying not negative.
Not negative. Yeah.
It's definitely. Yeah, it's not a negative word. It is an extremely positive word. We can find success. Synonyms of success can be achievements, things that you achieve, so that you reach. You are able to create.
Yeah, and it's like when you have a goal or when you have a target, and you, like Alex said, when you achieve that target, then you think that is a success. Yet when you have an ambition, maybe, and that ambition becomes true, yes, you can say then that it was a success. How we measure success is very subjective, and also sometimes what we think of success is also being subjective. It could be success in your job. Yes, you maybe have an ambition to reach a certain level, you reach that level, you think you're successful, or it could be personal success. Yes, something that you want to achieve in your personal life. And hot. I'm working on my tan by staying right next to the window. Sorry, Alessia's comment. Brilliant. Yeah, so it could be personal also. Yes. Okay, let's have a
Precisely.
look at the. Do you want to add anything, Al? Or?
No,
Okay.
it was perfect. So in this business activity, we're going to look at first impressions. So we're going to think of things that can influence a first impression. We are also going to look at some grammars with questions about character and making predictions. So like we said
Okay.
before, to predict means to look towards the future and speculate. So I guessing things that could happen.
Okay.
So let's
And
start. Oh,
sorry, I was just going to explain first impressions. It's when you meet someone for the first time and you form an opinion on that initial meeting. Yes, the first meeting you have. It's something we all do naturally anyway. Yes, and the first impressions can be based on maybe the character of that person, the way they behave. Yes, or maybe even the way they look. Yes, what they are wearing.
and
Yes,
how
go on.
important do you think are first impressions on a job, Richard?
Sorry, Alex, was that to me? You broke up.
Yes.
Sorry.
How important do you think first impressions are on the job?
Um, I, I think pretty important. Yes. It's not what we call the be and end all of everything, but I think it is important to try to create a good first impression, because I think people usually remember the first impression. Yes. So it is, I think, quite important for me anyway. Maybe other people have different opinions, but for me, it's important. For you also, Alex, or
Yes, I would say it. I agree. First impressions can be memorable, so they can stay in your memory, and you hope that your first impression is a positive one because of course, when you get to know somebody, your impressions can change. They can
yeah,
get better or worse, but it always takes some effort. So it's harder to change your opinion or your impression once you have created it. So yeah, I think that especially on a job, it's better to start with the right foot. So to start with the right foot means to start in a positive way.
it's quite interesting, Alex. Yes, what you said there. I mean, your first impression sometimes could be completely wrong. Also, yeah.
Yes, yes, of
Maybe
course. It can
the first
happen.
yeah, no, just in general, not just from a job situation, but you can meet someone and think they're very nice. Yeah, so when you get to know them, you find out they're not very nice, or vice versa. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Okay, so let's look at making impressions. So you make an impression when you meet someone, you create an impression. What matters most when meeting someone for the first time? So how would you answer this question?
Um, few things. I'm gonna look at it from from the job side, not from personal side. Yes, because this is a business focus, so we can change it later, maybe. So I would say punctuality. Yes, if you are going to meet someone for the first time, to be on time for that meeting. Yes. I would think that you should dress in an appropriate way, in a correct way. Of course, it depends on whether it is an interview or whether it is less formal, but I think it's quite important. I know this is maybe a very strange one, but I think it's important. Personal hygiene.
Definitely.
Is
Never
also
underestimate.
no. I mean,
Never
it is
underestimate your personal
no.
hygiene.
It is important. You know, like it's the full package. You're on time. You look presentable. You know, you don't have to look $1 million, but you look presentable. Your hygiene is good, and also what I think is quite important is to be polite, to have good manners, and again, maybe a strange one, but watch your language. Use nice language. Don't swear. Don't. Yeah. You know.
Into being polite, of course. It
Yeah.
goes hand in hand with being polite.
Um. You want to add anything, or I think
I
that
agree on everything. I would just probably add being prepared. First of all, it is a sign of interest in the company. It also highlights your personal skills. So something that is very positive on a job, being prepared. And finally, it's a strategic thing to do because it allows you to be more confident when you speak. So it will reduce your stress levels. It will make you look good. Overall, it's probably the most important thing for me, being prepared on your meeting. It can mean informing yourself on the company. It can also mean maybe anticipating some questions that you may be asked, as well as rehearsing answers. So to rehearse means to basically simulate the types of answers you might receive, the types of questions you might receive, and how you would reply. This will make you feel it doesn't mean to prepare your answers. You have to always be spontaneous, but it will just make you feel more fluid, more confident again while you reply. And I think that's it for me.
yeah, I agree. I mean, to rehearse is to practice, basically, like Alex said. Yes, you try to practice your answers. Today we have a terrible delay on the chat. Um, Thank you, Alessia. We are we do seem to be experiencing some problems today. So, guys, if you want us to repeat something that maybe you didn't quite hear, please ask. We understand. Sometimes we have these problems,
Yeah.
so be as interactive as you want to be. If you want to interrupt us, it's not a problem. Yeah. So if you don't hear anything, let us know and we repeat. Good comment by Alessia also, and a very good choice of words, considering considering the brevity of job interviews. I think HR. I wouldn't put I wouldn't use the article there. I would just say I think HR tends to rely, which means usually relies on first impressions. So it's essential. Yes, going back to what Alex said about preparation, for sure, I think that is quite essential. So we've covered some of these, but how would we prepare to meet a potential employer? Just to repeat some of the things, yes, you dress well. When we think about how we should dress, what type of clothes we should wear, we call it a dress code. Yes, so make sure you have the right dress code. As Alex said, yeah, do your research. Do your research about the company. Yes, what they do, how they are performing. Do they have any ambitions? Yes, and a very good point by Alex there, which I think is quite important because interviews can be quite stressful. Even if you don't get some of these questions, the fact that you are prepared, that you have some knowledge, does make you feel a little bit more confident, more at ease, more comfortable with yourself. I think the worst thing that could happen is that you're not prepared. You automatically feel anxious, Alex. Yes, I think.
Definitely, yes. It's a horrible feeling.
Yeah. So you maybe would look at the organizational structure of the company. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to go into great detail, but the last thing that you want to be asked is, well, what can you tell us about da 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 da, and you freeze. You know, that's the worst thing. Yes. Also, looking at maybe recent news, recent business journals to see if there's anything been reported about the company. And okay, I mean, I think, Alex, anything else?
I would just repeat some of the things you have said. So remember being punctual, showing interest, just showing interest in the conversation you're having with the HR is a very positive thing. You can show interest and enthusiasm. Those are good qualities for any new employee. It shows you really want the job, you're happy to be there and to have an opportunity. So smile, be yourself, be spontaneous, and remember, I know that sometimes we put a lot of stress on these interviews, but you have to live them in the best of ways. And probably by living them like this, they will go in the right direction. So if you start worrying too much, it's just going to make things worse for you.
I've thought of something else, Alex, which I think is quite important. And I've just thought about it, so don't worry. Body language.
Yes.
Body language is important. All right, I'm sitting down now, yeah? You don't want to go to an interview, sit down, and you're sitting, like this. Oh, hello, how are you? Yeah. The body language is important. Sitting up straight. And Alex said the body language also includes smiling. Yes. Okay. You don't want to be what we call slouching, like really, So also, body language gives good first impression. You don't want to look overconfident, but you don't want to look underconfident. It's quite a difficult balance in our act, as we say. But okay, prepare to meet a new client.
I honestly think that a lot of these suggestions we are giving you are good for basically every first encounter. Probably if it's a new client, I would be again prepared on maybe services that the company offers to that specific industry. So when I'm talking about industry, and it means the sector your client, your potential new client is working in. Why? Because you can anticipate needs, you can be prepared on the solutions to offer. You might be servicing some competitors, so you may want to be prepared on how you will deal with having two companies that are potentially competitors. All these things allow you to make a better impression, again, showing interest in your client and hopefully getting a deal by the end of the meeting.
Okay, yeah, I agree. And also, I just thought of quite a nice phrasal verb here. What makes you stand out from your competitors? Yes,
Right.
and we use
Why
the
choose you?
exactly, we use the verb to stand and the preposition out. And what we mean by stand out is why are people going to focus on you more than a competitor? Yes, what are your strengths? Yes, so if it's a new client, you try to think of what product they would be interested in. Why should they choose your product or your service? Like Alex, it could be service. Yes, maybe highlight benefits of your product, your service. Again, what makes it stand out? Yeah, the advantages of using you. Okay, well, your company. Again, this is where the preparedness is important.
Yes.
Yeah, highlighting all the good things about you, your company, your product. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't mention this before, but
Yeah.
I come from the marketing sector, and in marketing we call all this, well, a very important part of all that Richard has just said. We call this USP. USP
Yeah.
is a
Yeah. Yeah.
contraction that stands for unique selling proposition. So the unique selling proposition is basically what you make better, best possibly than others. Why choose you? What is the service that you offer able to achieve, or how can you help your client? So we call this USP, unique selling proposition.
Perfect. That's great. Yeah, that's good. That is a good acronym abbreviation. Sorry, abbreviation. Yeah, it's a good abbreviation to remember. We do use it, and actually, as Alex said, yeah, people people ask you anyway. Yeah, the customer could ask you. So what's your USP? Yes, what's your unique selling proposition? Yeah. So okay, I think that maybe apart from the last one, the journalist asking about your your company. I think, as Alex said, I think they apply to most of those. Um, Anything to add with a journalist asking about your company?
Again,
Um,
trying to anticipate questions, probably doing some research on the type of media the journalist works for. So maybe what type of audience or that how wide that audience is, just to be and careful on the type of information you want to release. Maybe having a chat with your communications manager or whoever is in charge with press releases, just to be sure if there are sensitive information that there is sensitive information that needs to be carefully managed. I guess that would be it.
Yeah, very good. Recent press releases, you can say a lot of companies do have press officers or director of communications or something. Yes, you see what's been released to the press recently. You are briefed on that. Yes, basically you make sure you're up to date on it to anticipate the questions, answering the questions, maybe anticipating awkward questions. If maybe if you're a company and maybe the company's had some bad press, yes, you really need to think, oh my gosh, they're going to ask us about that, yes, and it's a bad thing. How am I going to answer it maybe in a positive way, or you find solutions to some of this bad press?
Mm-hmm. So let's go on. And again, looking at making
we
impressions.
were lost for a second.
Let's see
you there,
how
Alex?
much. Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you agree with these ideas? Yes or no, and why? So why or why not? So the first one. Oh, well, we have a very nice comment by Alessia. So, do you think that empathy plays a key role? Well, Richard comes from the HR, so I would have him answer.
Yes, I think so. I think empathy does play a key role. Maybe if you're working in a sector and you've had maybe some bad press and you need to show that empathy means that you feel the same as someone else. You have the same feelings. And if it's something bad, you need to show that you have also felt those feelings, and to be empathetic, I think is the word. I always empathic, is it? Sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
So I think it can have a key role for sure, especially with the last one. And I will give you an example where empathy, because the person didn't show empathy, it played a key role in this person getting bad press. And that was this was what we call a PR disaster. Yes, it was when Prince Andrew got interviewed about his relation with Epstein. He did an interview for the BBC, yes, and his idea behind this interview would be, it will show me in a good light and I can clear my name, and actually it was a complete U-turn. They called it a PR disaster, and one of the main things that made it a disaster was him not showing empathy. So in this context, they said that he didn't show any empathy towards the alleged victims, and so yes, I agree. I think it does play a key role, and yes, from a HR perspective, if you are answering or asking questions where you can see that the person is being emphatic, Alex, I can't remember the empathetic. Emphatic. I always get a problem with this. Then yeah, it's a positive thing. I think it's a positive thing. Okay, we have the bell again, right? It's like a boxing match with the bell. Yes, round 2, Alex.
How much do you agree with the following sentence? Dress for the role that you want.
Okay. Before we answer, when you make statements to agree with people, we can agree, or the opposite is disagree. Yeah, I disagree, or you could say I don't agree. You can use the verb to do also in the negative. For a strong opinion, Alex, what type? Or strong opinion, or sorry, a strong agreement or disagreement with what type of phrases can we use?
Well, I can add the adverb absolutely. So I
Perfect.
absolutely agree or I absolutely disagree. I totally agree or I totally disagree. Entirely, so I entirely disagree, or I wholly agree or wholly disagree.
Perfect. Very good. Strong opinions. Yes, a strong agreement or disagreement. If you don't agree with everything the person says, a partial agreement, you could say, I agree with you. I agree with you to a certain extent. I agree with you up to a point, or you can use the word partial. I partially agree with you. Okay. Um, One thing which is maybe you guys haven't thought about, or maybe not used to, and this may sound strange, um, when we have agreements or disagreements with people, especially in business, you don't always. If you say to somebody, "I completely disagree," or "I totally disagree with you," it can create a tension. Or this is why the partial agreements are quite nice, softens it. Um, we can use things like percentages. Okay, so I agree with 50% of what you're saying. I agree with 90% of what you're saying. Yes, I agree with 90% of that. Yes, fractions you can use. Yes, I agree with half of that. I agree with a third, quarter, three quarters. But guys, don't go silly. Use them in a nice way. You're not going to say, I agree with 26% of what you said, because that sounds silly. Yeah, I mean, you've got to use percentages in a logical way. Yes. Same with the fractions. You normally use maybe a third, quarter, three quarters, half. Yes. You're not going to use a fraction like, I don't know. I agree with 9/10 of what you're saying. Okay, you agree, Alex?
Yes, I totally agree.
Very good.
If you especially need to express a disagreement in a business environment, you might soften things up by saying, "I'm afraid I disagree." So by adding "I'm afraid," you're just very politely saying that you don't agree. Other ways of softening things are to say, "I suppose so," or "I don't think so," or "not necessarily." So these are all ways to express a soft disagreement with somebody.
Yeah, I know we're using the target language here. I agree with Alex. Yes, I'm afraid is very nice. Yes, if you say that at the beginning, it automatically takes away some tension. Yes, not I disagree. So, I'm afraid I disagree, and then or you can say I'm sorry I disagree. Yes, also. Okay,
Exactly.
so dress for the role you want. Do you agree with this, Alex? This statement? You should dress for the role you want.
I guess so. I guess I agree. Of course, I don't think this should always be a rule. I mean, you have to be yourself, but it shows you need to. you need to show that you are the person they want. And unfortunately, like we were saying, first impressions are also made on the way you are dressing. So what you are showing. Um, yes, I like Alessia, I agree up to a certain extent, which means I agree, but not 100%.
Okay. And I agree with you, Alex. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Once you make an impression, you can never change it. I don't exactly agree with this. Yes, as we said earlier, um, I think it's first impressions are important. First impressions stay in people's memories. However, sometimes maybe you think you haven't made the right impression. Yes, because maybe you've done or said something without thinking, or just something out of character, just something that you think is wrong. Yes. So then maybe you try, maybe you haven't created the right impression. So you you can change it. Yes. Maybe you want to prove to that person that you think, I bet they think I'm like this. No, so I'm going to show them I'm like that. Yeah. So I sometimes it's hard to change it, yes, but I think you can. So I I disagree there that you can never change it. Alex,
I
the next
also
one.
disagree.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I also disagree. I just wanted to add that a good personal aim would be to have your work speak for you, which means to have the results you produce um, show, testify the value that you can bring to a company. Of course, you need time for that to happen, um, but that can change positively a first impression that maybe wasn't that memorable.
Okay. Uh, you are
Let's
the
look at the
clo.
third one.
Mm-hmm.
So you are the clothes you wear. It's quite similar, I think, to the first one.
Yeah.
I I think I don't agree. Like I said, I believe in the importance of dressing appropriately, but I think that a person can be so much more than the clothes he or she is wearing.
Okay. And the last one. People never remember what you say. Again, depends what you say, but I disagree. I think a lot of. I mean, well, maybe we are looking at this from an interview perspective. Yes. So no, I think they do remember what you say. And to be honest, in an interview, they should remember what they say. It's their job. Yeah. That's why it's an interview. And yeah. So I disagree. I think that people do remember what you say, especially if it's something controversial.
Of
Okay, should we
course,
look at
I also
the.
agree. So yes, let's go on and talk about character questions. So character questions are questions that are related to exploring how your character is. So how would you behave in certain situations? Which are your strengths and or weaknesses? Reasons for hiring you, and if you would basically fit in a company. So to fit in is to be appropriate, to work nicely with your potential new clients. So let's look at the first question. What are your strengths and what are your weaknesses?
Okay.
Uh,
On the right hand side, we have some answers. Okay, and what we need to do is, for example, for the first one, I am going to be a manager in a competitive growing company. We need to think which question matches that answer. So is it question 1, 2, 3, or 4? So
exactly.
which one do you think it is, guys?
So I'm going to be a manager in a competitive growing company. So
So
is
is
it
that why?
talking about the present or is it talking about the future?
It's excuse me, Alex. It's talking about the future. Okay,
Right.
and what what is it? What sort of feelings is this guy showing? He's showing ambition. Yes. Okay. He has a goal, has a target. Yes. So someone who maybe sets themselves targets or goals, we can use the adjective. They're ambitious. This is an ambition. So the answer would be number 3 for this one.
Precisely.
Okay. The next one is yes, absolutely. I think that working well with other people is better than working alone. Two minds are better than one. You want to look at this one, Alex?
Yes, so there are some hints in this answer that suggest that this person is a team player. So he enjoys or he is able to work in a team. So the answer would be number 4.
Perfect. Okay, very good, Alessia. Your answers are correct. They're coming through.
Yes,
The next one. I am
I
excellently.
yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
Okay, I am excellently organized and I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I could learn more shortcuts in Excel. So this
Okay.
person is talking about some personal qualities and some things he is working on. So which one do you think it would be?
Okay, so they say they're excellently organized. That's a good thing, yes, and maybe a strong thing. However, they do mention something they're not so good at. Yes, I could learn more shortcuts in Excel. So it's giving us the impression that maybe they're not too comfortable or they recognize something they're not so good at. So I would say here the correct question is going to be number 1.
Correct. And that leaves number 2 for the last one. Correct,
Yeah,
Alessia, very well done.
very good,
So
Alessia. You're all of them correct.
the last one is why should we hire you? And the answer is for me, it would be an excellent opportunity to grow and learn new skills. I have a lot of experience in areas that complement the company's business. So a good reason, a good answer for this type of question is not only to give a reason for your personal, like a personal reason, a personal benefit of something that would benefit you personally, but also to underline what benefit the company could have by hiring you. So which addition would you create, would you give by working in that company?
Okay, great.
Okay,
Let's move on to the next slide. Okay. Uh,
we're going to, yeah, we're going to read about a company, the Nickel and Dime Brewery in Boston.
okay, should I read it, Alex, or do you want to read it?
Sure, go.
I'm easy. Okay. The Nicholson brothers of Boston have a successful series of seasonal beers and want to find a new partner to expand their business in Europe. Ellie Crane from the magazine The Draft meets with CEO James Nicholson to discuss what's in store for the future. He is hoping to leave a lasting impression. Okay. And then there's a question at the end, which we look at in a second. So let's have a look at the words in red. It says he's going to meet with the CEO to discuss what's in store for the future. So in store means what plans do they have for the future? Okay. If you have something in store, it's a plan that you have for the future. Okay. A lasting impression is going to be when you want to leave a lasting impression. Normally, you we can be ironic. It means a positive impression. Yes, you want that they remember you for something in a positive way. Sometimes we use a bit of sarcasm when it's the opposite. Yes. So when someone leaves a negative, we say, oh yes, he left a really lasting impression. And we say it with a bit of a hint of sarcasm. But normally when you want to leave a lasting impression, it's positive. Okay.
Let's say it's a memorable impression. It's something that will stick in the person's mind.
Okay. And what questions do we think Ellie wants to ask James? What other questions do we think this journalist or interviewer wants to ask him? Any ideas?
Well, we can give some suggestions. So, for example, this journalist could ask, what are the plans exactly for the future? If they have intentions to roll out, so to launch new products, and maybe where they want to expand to new markets, or like they suggest in the case history, maybe new countries.
Yeah, I agree, Alex. It's a maybe exactly where. Where in Europe? Is there a particular country in Europe that you want to expand to, or is it all of Europe? Yeah. Who is your, they want to find a new partner. What type of new partner are you looking for? Yes. Are you thinking of maybe when you combine with another company that produces a very similar product or the same product, we can use the verb to merge. Are you looking to merge with a new partner, or you just want to find a new partner? Are these just going to be an investor or an active partner? Okay, let's have a look at the interview.
Mm-hmm. So this is the actual interview. So we're going to read it. I will start. I will be the interviewer or the journalist, and Richard will be the CEO.
Oh, nice.
First of all, it doesn't happen every day.
No, not at all.
First of all, thanks for joining me today. We will make this short and sweet because I'm sure you're busy.
So, what are we going to discuss today?
Well, we're all surprised by Nickel and Dime's sudden success. What are you doing to continue your growth?
We're launching in Europe soon.
And who are you going to work with?
We're thinking of partnering with a major German distributor.
Well, this sounds exciting. Good luck.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. And what do we need to do in this slide? We need to look at, or need to find ways for talking about the future. Okay. You want to go through them, Alex?
Yes, so there are different ways that we can see in this text for talking about the future. So one of them is what are we going to, sorry, let's start from the top. We will make this short and sweet. So we use will to express something that is an on the spot decision, a spontaneous decision, something that as a journalist I have come up with in that specific moment.
Okay. The next one. What are we going to discuss today? Okay, if you remember from maybe some of your lessons, we use going to for a future intention. Okay, this is the intention of the interview. Yes, we're going to discuss this thing. This is what we intend to discuss in the interview. Next one, Alex.
Next one would be, what are you doing to continue your growth? So it is very similar to the following one. We're launching in Europe
Good, yeah.
and are thinking of partnering. So all these three sentences use the present continuous to express something that has been already planned. So you can think of this as something that is already on a calendar. You know what you're going to do, when you're going to do it. So it's something that is basically already a present decision.
Okay, very good. And the next one, very similar to the second one. Sorry, I was just looking there. Who are you going to work with? Again, we are using going to for a future intention. Okay, this is a plan, but it's not so much of a fixed plan. It's a plan that maybe
They're
hasn't.
still working on.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And guys, we are running a little bit out of time. Just quickly, the first one where we use will, you use the verb after will in the infinitive without to. The future intention is always going to, and again, the base form of the verb without to. Present continuous, as Alex mentioned, is for fixed plans, where we use the subject, I am, you are, okay, or we are, with the verb and ing.
Very good.
Okay.
So thank you, as always, for following us, especially our dear Alessia. And
Nice to see you, Alessia.
yes, we will be conducting these webinars again next week. But in any case, please continue following the channel of Maya's Business for more webinars on business English. So thank
Yes,
you.
we have, oh, okay, we have a webinar tomorrow at 12, and next week's business webinars are at the same time. So if you're regular viewers, please join us again. Okay, guys, we'll have to make it quick. Thanks very much, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.